Welcome to Big Z's Tank Chronicles number 5, Himmelsdorf. Here we have 4 battles, all losses, and I'm going to point out some of the mistakes that we made. The basic strategy here was pretty simple. The 1390 was to go on top of the hill, and the IS-3s and 5100s were to take the tracks and to support each other. Just spotted one of their heavies, and everything's looking okay so far. The first problem you're going to see is our 5100s are back too far. They can't support the IS-3s, and they're out there by themselves. In order to use the 5100s well, you have to have the IS-3s in a position to A, start the fight, and also B, take the heat off the 5100s while they're unloading. We're not in a position to do that. The first mistake you get to see me make is not just blasting this T1. I was trying to ram him for some stupid reason, and it was not something I should have done. I should have just shot him. I finally do kill him, and then sit on the corner waiting for my next instructions. And as you can see on the mini-map, the other problem is they actually come down the train tracks, which isolates our IS-3s from our 5100s and puts our 5100s on the front line rather than behind the IS-3s. At this point, I've been instructed to flank, even though we're not quite sure where the 5100s are. What should have happened here probably is our IS-3s should have came out and greeted theirs, taking the heat off the 5100s, but you know, hindsight is 20/20. And I'm about to meet their 5100s, unfortunately, and I get smacked and smacked hard, way too fast to get even a reverse out of the way. What's even worse now is our 5100s are not loaded. Our IS-3s are 2 against 3, and in a really crappy position at that. This would have been the perfect opportunity for the 5100s to come around and flank them, but since we're already unloaded, we can't do that. What should have been a 4-on-3 turns into a 3-on-2, and we lose this horribly. By the time our 5100s are reloaded, our IS-3 is pretty much dead, and their 5100s are coming down to finish us off. So, unfortunately, despite our guys did the best they could given the situation, we played this rather poorly. It happens, you know. So for round 2, we kind of changed things up with 3 5100s and 2 IS-3s, hoping to catch them a little bit off. We're being rather defensive, not a bad move or anything. We got Shock kind of spotting the tank alley, and we have another tank on the other side trying to find the enemy. We find their T1, but he stays there way too long. Unfortunately, we can't dislodge him and we can't get around and kill him. We end up spending a lot of time dealing with their Tier 1s, probably way too much time. It wasn't really a bad move, we were just waiting for the rest of them to show up, but they just didn't.
First blood.
When they do show up, they show up all together on the tracks, and we are too far apart from each other to really do much about it. In hindsight, we probably should have had somebody out further on the tracks to be able to spot them coming. While Shock tries to get around the backside, the other two 5100s were ordered to go to our cap in hopes that we could beat them in the cap points. Unfortunately, they roll right over our two IS-3s, and Shock gets back there, but not fast enough to do enough damage. We do make it to cap and start capping, and it's slightly faster than they do, but they send their forces back to remove that benefit. For some reason, we can't decide which side of the church to stay on. This side was probably not the right side. The other side would have been okay, but then we changed our mind again, so that didn't work out so well either. Their T1 does try to stop us from capping, but doesn't have much luck with that. While I doubt we could have won this either way, I probably should not have moved towards the other side again, because they had more tanks coming the other direction. And that was not one of our best fights, by any means. Now we're ready for the second set of fights on this. We used two 5100s, two IS-3s, and a 1390. And plan on taking the hill with the two 5100s while the IS-3s watch Tank Alley, hopefully to get around them. You'll notice this right out. They put a scout right in that corner, and we, throughout the fight, can't do anything about him, and he just stays spotting us. We probably should have moved away from there. And on top, I don't really do much better either. You'll see my obvious mistakes here shortly. For one, I get way too far in front of the 5100s for any kind of support. And at first, I think I'm okay. I take out the T1 and see the 5100 thinking, oh, cool, well, it's not so bad. And then I realize both are there and realize I'm too far forward committed, so I have to keep going. I should have pulled back no matter what else and brought them back into the fire of the other two 5100s as is. Basically, they get away because they run down that hill and around before our 5100s can even take a shot at them. And since they've now spotted our two other 5100s, they now know that the two IS-3s are out there by themselves, and they zip all the way around and charge the IS-3s. Our 5100s are not able to respond quick enough and get around that corner to help defend our IS-3s, and our IS-3s die because of it. Once they demolish the IS-3s, and they just turn around and pick off our two 5100s. We got a few shots on them, but that was about it. The plan this time was okay. I bungled my part, and we were not able to support our other tanks quick enough. The other team here clearly took advantage of our inability to remove that one tier 1, focusing on knowing where those two IS-3s are, and once they located the rest of our forces, they just picked us apart. Second round with these guys, same basic setup, same basic plan. We probably should have changed this up a little bit. Once again, 2020 hindsight's great. So unwilling to make the same mistake I made last time, I'm coming up here a little slower, I'm taking it a little easier. I'm not planning on trying to rush over the other side. I'm just coming up on top, trying to figure out where they're at. And you will notice once again, they get that scout in that corner there at Tank Alley, and we just sit there. We really got to change that. Hey, I found them again, unfortunately, so this time instead of overcommitting, I try to run. Well, that makes sense, right? The only problem is this time they have, of course, I run into something. They've got 3 5100s, and we only have 2 plus myself up there, and they shoot the hell out of our 5100s. Once myself and the 2 5100s are dead, that's pretty much it for our guys, because there's no way we're going to go, 5 against 2. You will notice, though, at least this time we go ahead and take the initiative, knowing where the other 3 tanks were, to try to stomp the other 2 IS-3s. Unfortunately, we're not able to remove the other 2 IS-3s before the 5100s got down the hill. Upon review, a lot of things could be learned here. Same plan really doesn't work very well twice like that. We probably misplayed our tanks a little bit, and that little T1 in the corner was a pain in the rear. That was that. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you for episode 6.